I've waited 100 years, and I'd wait 1,000,000 more for you. Nothing prepared me for the privilege of being yours would do. If I had only felt the warmth within your touch, if I had only seen how you smile when you blush, or how you curl your lip when you concentrate enough, I would have known what I was living for.
All right, welcome back to Lionheart Radio with Rick Alexander. Happy Monday. Hope you guys' week is off to an okay start. You guys can follow me at Rick Alexander _ or at Lionheart Radio on Instagram to interact with me, talk about the show, talk about coaching, or whatever. I just like knowing who kind of listens to this show and then the impact that you get from it. Because, you know, one of the things that happens is this world is very subjective. Like, you and I could very well be living in two very different worlds based on our value system and the way that we see the world. And so sometimes I deliver these messages and then what you get out of them is quite a bit different than what I meant. But I don't actually think that matters. I think what's important is that you hear what you need in order to nourish what you need in order to move on and do the things that you want to do with your life. And so all that to say, if you have feedback on the show, I'd love to hear about it. Since it's Monday, and since Mondays have a tendency to bring us a little bit of pain, I thought today that's actually what I would talk about. Now, in Burn Your Couch, I talked about pain quite a bit, physical pain really, because one of the things that I found in my own life is that if you can go through different pain barriers, for me the mode was endurance sports, but what I found is if you can sort of run through different pain barriers, it actually leaves a profound mark on the psyche. Like, you actually think about things differently. The person you are on the other side of somebody that survives physical pain is a much different person. But today what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about emotional pain, and I want to talk about suffering. So one of the things that really blows my mind about life is that there are built-in mechanisms in order to teach us what we need to know in order to level up. Like, you can really spend a lot of time thinking about how the hell that actually became the case, right? But one of the things that we do when we find ourselves in pain is we want to get out of it. And so we self-soothe and we use all of the different pacifiers that tend to be at our disposal, and we do whatever we have to do in order to get through it. But one of the problems with something like retail therapy is that it's not actually therapy. It's a Band-Aid at best, but at worst, it's just keeping you from learning the lesson that you need to learn. So when pain first strikes you, and this can be emotional pain just as well, it's very blinding. Like, there's not a lot of room in your being when you are in acute pain to tolerate anything else or think about anything else. Like, you can't hold space for other things when the pain is too great. When that happens, there's not a lot you can do besides wait for the pain to subside. But I think the problem that we have within life is when we go through painful situations, we really want to get out of it. And I did an episode a while back about how do we transcend. It's like, because when we find ourselves in pain, we want to get back to where we were. But that's the wrong answer, because where we were got us in pain. And so we need to transcend. We need to learn the lessons that pain is actually trying to tell us so that we can move on with our life and we can actually be better. But when it comes to suffering, I think that's very different. Pain is part of the human experience. Suffering is something that we apply to it, because you will suffer to the extent that you resist the lessons that life is trying to teach you. And you should try to remember that. Just because you don't like the mechanism by which you're learning doesn't discount the validity of the information. And so, like, what does that mean? Let's think about that for a second. You might not like the way that life is teaching you what you need to know. And in fact, you probably don't. I know that I certainly could have done without the last year of pain. But the fact remains that if you want to move on with your life and transcend and level up, then you have to learn the lesson that's actually there. If something hurts, it's because something is amiss and that thing needs to be overcome or evolved past or acknowledged and healed. It's super important that you recognize this, because if you don't, you'll spend your entire life reliving the same drama, anger, and sadness. Now, that was something that Angelo Cisco and I talked last time he was on the show. Like, one of the things he brought up is when you're mad, like people that are angry, you're always angry about the exact same thing. And I believe that to be true. Like, whenever we're in pain about something, whenever we're sad about something, something hurts, it's almost always the exact same thing. And people will go their entire lives being angry about the exact same things. And it's just manifesting in more and more situations until you learn to sit with it and move on when appropriate. We end up getting ushered into certain lanes in life. And then those pain, the walls that we're not willing to face end up being the walls that box us into a lesser existence. But the reality is sometimes you just have to acknowledge that you're sad, or you just have to acknowledge that you're in pain. And to the extent that you can accept your pain is to the extent that you can end your suffering. Because pain is part of this thing. Suffering is totally optional. It's totally on you. But if you go through something painful, in my opinion, the only real way to deal with it and to ensure that it doesn't happen again is to sit with that pain and to really just try to figure out what the lesson is. It's telling you something. Something is amiss and you got to get it right, or it's going to keep manifesting in different scenarios, in different situations, with different people. So the question today is, what has caused you a serious amount of emotional pain, and every time it comes up, you just do what you have to do to avoid it instead of sitting with it, being with it, and dealing with it? You're not going to overcome and learn the lessons you need to by avoidance. That's never going to be the case for us. And so you should think seriously about what's going on in your life and what you're avoiding so that you can finally put an end to this particular kind of pain. Hope you guys have an incredible week. I'll talk to you tomorrow on Morning Coffee.
I'm under pressure, I've been locked in here too long. Gotta make my fantasies real now. Sometimes I wonder if I'm working at a dead-end job, just spinning my wheels, just spinning my wheels. I know I'm gonna be okay, cause everyone's allowed to feel bad on a nice day. Remember why you're here, remember who you are. Never ever lose a reason what you're doing this for. I've been saying this for a long time. Don't let life pass you by. Dream a little dream and take it to the world. Maybe I should take my own advice and not get left behind. Heads into the sky and scream your battle cry. Don't change the station yet. Need time to get this into your head. You're gonna make mistakes along the way. You think you're spinning your wheels, just spinning your wheels. I promise that you'll be okay, cause no one wants to see you feeling bad on a nice day. You know why you're here, you're gonna be a star. Gonna show them what it takes to really make it this far. I've been saying this for a long time. Don't let life pass you by. Dream a little dream and take it to the world. Maybe I should take my own advice and not get left behind. Heads into the sky and scream your battle cry. Saying this for a long time. Don't let life pass you by. Dream a little dream and take it to the world. Maybe I should take my own advice and not get left